Hey guys, I am happy to announce that we have a sponsor for today's episode, and that is Happy Haunts. If you are into the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland, then look no further than Happy Haunts Clothing, your go-to for all Haunted Mansion-inspired alternative fashion. So whether you're a fan of the dark side of Disney or just love a ghostly good time, their unique apparel will make sure you're the best dressed ghost at any Haunted Mansion. So be sure to follow them on Instagram at Happy Haunts Clothing for all the latest drops. Don't miss your chance to awaken the spirits. Visit their website, happyhaunts.com today.
This is the Rawl of the Dead podcast with your host, Rawl of the Dead.
So what are all these movies you guys have here? Is this all stuff that you guys are reviewing?
No, just set pieces.
To make the table more interesting.
It's just all, so it's not like Hot Ones, just a big black table.
And Slashercise.
Slashercise.
And Slashercise, the only not period. Well, period, but not in the time.
So we have Ama Lea, we have
Kay,
Elissa,
and they do a podcast called
Pillow Fright.
Pillow
I was
Fright,
about to
right?
say Slashercise.
And they're joining me on the podcast today, and I thank them. This is all their setup right here, and this is like amazing. They have the lighting, they have cameras, audio. We just found out, we're just having a conversation that we both use the same audio interface, so that's kind of cool. And our problems with it. So.
Yeah.
So yeah. So how's the podcast going so far? Have you guys recorded a lot of episodes?
We
did one month.
We've done a month and a half. Today would be about a little close to 2 months of stuff.
Yeah, we've put out one episode a week. So we've made our deadline every week.
Yeah.
So we're 7 episodes in. It's a learning curve. Bodies does it right when they're like, podcasting is really hard.
It really is.
I don't know about you. We've had a lot of breakdowns.
No, yeah, it's definitely a learning curve, because I think when I got into the podcasting too, like I looked into what was the best. Is it through the computer, or is it like doing like something, an interface or something? Should I just do it with a lav mic? So I looked into all those things, and as I finally decided on this one here, the Zoom that you guys use as well.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working out pretty good. So
That's good.
We're using the same like podcasting teaching websites or something.
Yeah.
Probably.
No, yeah. And then just learning how to like what works, what microphones. And then I realized I needed like microphone stands, and then another microphone with the same, because I was trying to cheap out and use a different microphone. One of my deity mics that I have, and it just didn't. The sound was different because it's not XLR cable.
Okay, yeah.
So it doesn't use phantom power, and then it just didn't sound the same. So I got to pick up a mic that sounds the same as this one. So.
And it's also, it doesn't make it easier to add a visual component to everything too.
Exactly. But so you guys are launching these episodes. You can watch them now.
You can listen to them now on wherever you find your podcasts.
Spotify, Amazon,
Apple.
Okay.
Yes.
But we have a YouTube channel. We are currently editing so that the podcast will be in video form as well. We do record everything. So we will start launching. We have one up, which is our very first episode we recorded, and we had some technical difficulties, but we had a lot of technical difficulties the first episode.
The first one, it's okay.
But it's one of those like, please bear with us, and we're learning, and we're getting better every episode. But yeah, besides whenever we anger the tech gods and the old ones come up and they're like,
nah.
No, yeah, it's usually there's always like something that you learn and then take away from it, and then like I was telling you, I back things up now, so everything's we have another backup mic on here, so that's something you'll learn as well, just as you go along. But I know for you guys, it's three people doing the podcast. It's a little different.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So then it's scheduling issues too, right?
Actually, the scheduling hasn't been too difficult. We just kind of settled on a film day, and then a release day, and just try to kind of work everything else around there.
Yeah.
Lots of text messages. Lots
Yeah.
of, yeah.
all the time.
Yes.
But we had to, we divided the duties to make it more manageable, and communication is key when you're doing it with multiple people.
No, yeah, for sure.
I send a lot of Google documents.
Which is
Yeah.
much
Like-
appreciated.
Or annoying. You guys can be real.
No, it's appreciated.
The thing that makes us great is that we all bring something very different to the table, especially when it comes to like talking about horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all have different backgrounds, we all have different personalities. But I'm like crazy type A on producing things, so I'm just like sending them insane shit at like 5 a.m. when I'm up, like, or before we do an interview, I'm like, doing research for like a week and be like, don't ask them this, don't look them in the eye, they don't like that.
Like, without you, we'd be lost.
No, I'm very intense, but they have better personalities, so it works out.
We all have different personalities.
Very different.
I'm the one who will wake up to like 75 text messages because I
Oh,
put my
wow.
phone on Do Not Disturb in the morning, and I'm like, okay, what do I need to catch up on the day? What's happening?
Yeah.
And
I'm
she's
the
like,
late bloomer.
she's like, these bitches have been like texting since 5.
Hey, that's what Do Not Disturb is for. Yes.
Do you guys have guests on primarily, or is it just talking about movies?
Both. Yeah,
Both?
we do
Okay.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, sorry.
No, we have some great interviews, and in person, or we bring them in from all over the world.
Via the Zoom.
Yeah, via the World Wide Web. But it's great to have to get to talk to other like monster people and about what the fact that they love things as much as we do,
Yeah.
or that they have unique perspectives, or we can learn new things about projects that are like near and dear to our hearts, and it's been pretty great.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
No, sorry.
it's crazy. We're only like a month in, and one of Kay's favorite movies of all time is 13 Ghosts, and we've already interviewed the director of 13 Ghosts. And then
That's awesome.
my favorite movie of all time is Monster Squad, and this past weekend we just did we moderated a panel and got to interview the director of Monster Squad too. So
That's amazing.
now we just need to do Lost Boys.
Corey Feldman. Are you watching
feel like
this?
Corey Feldman is accessible.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so.
I've looked into it.
I've met him a couple of times, and
Yeah,
he's
he's-
pretty chill.
Yeah.
He's an interesting dude.
You could put it out there.
We're working on
Alyssa
it.
wants to be one of his angels.
I am one of his angels. Are you kidding me? Always 24/7.
So, Emily, we want to talk about Slashercise a little bit. You just
Sure.
directed the movie. I was at the premiere. Thank you again for having me there and doing some photos. But Slashercise, you were telling us at the Q&A that it was a 5-year project. Mm-hmm. So you had the idea about 5 years ago. You talked about it with Vanessa.
Yeah, so there's this thing in Burbank called Slashback Video. It's like a fake video store, like a kind of like an art installation, if you've never seen it, that looks like a mom and pop video store. And when they first opened, they invited artists to come do like fake VHS covers. And I did one that was a fake like Linnea Quigley horror workout one with my friend Sarah French, called Slashercise. It's it was just a photo. And I think at the opening night of the gallery show, Vanessa and I were talking. She's like, we should really do this. Like, it should be a thing. We should make it happen. And so we started working on it then. And then the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And it kind
Shut
of
everything down.
Yeah, it kind of slowed us down a bit. And we heard no a lot. And
So you were pitching it to like small independent companies, or what were you doing?
yeah, we pitched it to several different investors or smaller production companies. And it was weird. We'd get bites for a while. Like when Linnea Quigley's horror workout went up for sale for distribution again, there was a bidding war for it, and it went for a lot of money.
Really?
And yeah, surprisingly, a lot of people wanted it. I think Terror Vision ended up with it. And they had actually hit me up to photograph the cover, and I was like, I'd love to. I love Linnea, but I can't. And it was like, even at that point, like I had no idea if Slashercise would happen ever, but just at the mere chance that it could, I didn't want to like risk it, and like, because it didn't feel ethical to do a job like that when I was working on something so similar.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you were a photographer as well, which I didn't know that till I think when you hit me up to do your wedding.
Oh, really?
That's when you were telling me. It's like, oh, no, we were texting.
Yeah.
And you were telling me I do photography as well. I do weddings, and I didn't realize you were doing photography as well, because I don't really know. I know you as, so for those who don't know, Ama Lea does Poltergeist and Paramours, which is a clothing brand, which we'll get to. But that's how I met her, because you were always at Midsummer Scream. Yeah. But some of the other smaller events that I've gone to over the years, and I've always seen you, and then you do the Poltergeist and Paramours show as well. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I knew you, but I didn't know you were doing photography as well.
Yeah, I started out as a photographer. I actually have a master's degree in photography.
Oh, nice.
And I've been the photographer that shoots the covers of Fangoria for...
Wow.
I think 15 years now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, and I'll still shoot that stuff. And like, mainly at this point, I only do like celebrity stuff or like posters or movie covers or Fangoria. And, honestly, I've been shooting since I was like 17 years old. And, I know you know how it is, like lugging gear all the time, and like a photographer it's not like going on a film set where you have a bunch of hands. It's just you.
It's just you.
And I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, I'm not doing that unless it either is something that's like a bucket list shoot or it pays really well, because I'm burnt out of it. But I still shoot some stuff.
Yeah, no, it's lugging the gear is definitely like one of the things that I don't like doing.
It's the worst part. That and like strobes aren't built to last forever.
No, and then the gear's expensive. People don't realize like the strobe lights, even just the stand I got. It's not here, but I bought one at Sammy's Camera. It was $150, but it was one that I really needed. Yeah. Because I can never have enough stands. There's always there's always a reason I need an extra stand for something. So it all just like it adds up. The cameras, the backup cameras, the SD cards, the storage on your computer, the file sizes. People don't realize, and then on top of that, I'm doing video too, so the file sizes have gotten bigger, and then storage space, right?
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
aside from sound, the file storage is just
storage is
oh
huge.
My gosh!
So I've had to upgrade my computer as well.
Yeah.
So now I have like I think 16 gigabytes, and then I have them all on SSDs, and the computer runs really well. But still, eventually that's all going to run out too, and I have to put more storage. I got to look into different types of storage and off, maybe something like that's not living on the computer, but somewhere like on a cloud
like
or something.
A cloud, yeah.
I have a bookshelf that's just hard drives.
Oh my gosh!
I love when someone will hit me up from like a million years ago and be like, "Hey, do you still have the photos that we did of blah blah blah?" And I'm just like, somewhere. But it would take like I would have to like go through all these drives.
Like a library.
It really is.
Digital library.
And then you just pray that they still work.
Wow.
I'll get hit up like a year or 6 months in afterwards, and it's really not a big deal because I give them the link.
Yeah.
And I'll usually primarily don't erase it. I'll kind of leave them on there for a while. But sometimes people ask me for it a year after. I'm like, dude, like I have to charge you for like a resending fee, basically, because it is work. I have to sit down, look for it, and put it on another hard drive or whatever, and put it on a new link if I deleted it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys got your dog.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Their dad is not home tonight, so they're a little distraught.
Yeah, there's a herd that just came at me of dogs.
Usually they're not this.
It's all good.
Pet friendly set.
It is.
But yeah.
So from that, it went into how did you get into directing then? Because that's something I didn't find out. I'm finding a lot about you lately. So I went to the Slashercise, the teaser you guys were doing, because Vanessa invited me just to do a photo of her, of something she was working on. And that's all she worded it as, like, just give me some cute photos of me. I go, all right, I'll do anything for Vanessa. So I went over there, and then you guys had a whole production I was like, whoa, what's going on here? She says, oh yeah, this is the thing that we're doing as a project.
Just a little thing.
I'm like, all right. And then I saw you directing. I was like, oh, I didn't know you were going to be here. I was like, what's going on? And then you're like, I'm directing this. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So how did you get into directing?
So I've been a director longer than I was a photographer.
Oh, wow.
I started making movies like when I was like 14, and like I would shoot them. Like my grandpa, he actually got me into photography and stuff in general, but he was one of those guys who would just like go out and buy the most expensive camera because he's like gonna get the best shots. Yeah. But like he wouldn't really use them. He'd be, it was kind of a hobby. He bought this really nice like, those like camcorder things that like sat on your shoulder. They were huge. Like
my dad had one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think he took it on one trip and then I took it over and I started like making movies in the backyard with my friends, like with this, and like then I'm like, well, I gotta figure out how to put shots together. I didn't know it was called editing, but like, so my dad was a big like, he really liked like he would rent movies and record them so he could build his video. It was pirating, I guess. And like, so we had 2 VCRs. So I was like, I think I can like edit between them. And so I was editing movies between 2 VCRs. I shot with like my friends in the backyard and, shitty movies, I'm sure.
I want to see them.
Oh God.
I want to see those.
My big first movie is called The Bucksport Sasquatch Project.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Oh, it was garbage.
We needed to put a pin and then revisit that later.
Oh my gosh. But yeah,
you should redo that one.
I know, right?
Just do a redo.
Like I remember being like a freshman in high school, and it was like, when you have to do one of those like presentations of like what you kind of want to be when you grow up, and I was like, I want to be Wes Craven or Clive Barker, and like I don't think I knew that meant I wanted to be a director, but I definitely wanted to make movies from a young age. And
oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's always been something that I've been doing.
So besides Slashercise, you've done other movies.
Slashercise is like my first like feature. I've done tons of short films at this point, like at least 20 or so.
Wow.
What's the difference? Okay, so the short films, I've done one. Mm-hmm. I'm supposed to do a feature in October. So, what are the differences that you've noticed now that you've done a full feature? What are the difference between the short and the full feature? What have you noticed that's a huge difference?
How long you have to sit with the project. It's like a short film. You shoot for a day and then you edit it and you put it together, and whether it comes out good or bad, it was something fun that you did.
Yeah. With
a feature, you're shooting longer, the stakes are higher, the hard drive space is bigger.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's a bigger process, and it's something that I've worked towards for a long time, because it's hard as like a female filmmaker to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
And so, it's.
So you feel like you got to probably work extra hard for
always.
That as well.
Yeah. Okay. It's hard. Like I get to pitch a lot. Like studios will call me, or production companies, whatever, and they'll be like, we're doing this. Come give us your take, and let's talk about you directing it. So I'll go in for a project and I'll put all this work into like my pitch, and I'll get there and they'll be like, we really love your work. We really love your ideas, but come back to us when you've directed a feature, so you have one under your belt. And I'm like, well, if you're never going to give me a chance, how does that work? Like, it's like such a catch-22, and then I see dudes who've like never made a movie. They've been an actor or something, and they're just given a feature. And I was like, well, how the fuck does that work? Like, how is that fair? And I hate saying that it's about gender, but I truly believe that it is.
Yeah, no, that sounds like it. Yeah,
you see it. It's like, it's real. Unfortunately, you don't want it to be, but
yeah.
So, so now that you've done Slashercise, have you had any interest from these other movie companies that want to like carry it, or?
I mean, that's something that Vanessa and I are still, like, we were talking about it this morning of who we're gonna stream with. And we're definitely talking to a lot of companies right now, and just kind of seeing who's gonna do us right. Who's gonna give us the right amount of money, who's
Yeah.
going to give us the best deal all around of like how long they're going to carry it, and because once it starts streaming, it's going to be pirated no matter what.
Oh yeah.
And this
for
was
sure.
an absolutely 100% DIY project. Like,
Yeah.
we found our money. We did every single thing. Like, her and I produced this from the ground up. So we're being very selective and we're being careful.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of learned the same process with you and Vanessa, because I was talking to her. It's almost like we shot at the same time, because I shot Poe in December.
Mm-hmm.
That's around the time you guys are doing your Slashercise. And then I finished late January, because it was a short. It wasn't a feature, but you guys got your feature done pretty quickly, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because it just premiered, and you guys have the DVDs out. And I feel like that's a pretty quick turnaround.
I mean, and that you can credit that to Ryan Valdez. He was our DP and our editor. So when the person who shot it is also editing it, that definitely helps.
Yeah.
Speed things along.
No, you guys had a good crew. You guys
Yeah.
definitely had a lot of people. It's not just you.
Well, our
It-
crew was like 3 people.
Yeah.
Like these ladies were in Slashercise. They can tell you, I was behind the monitor. Ryan was shooting. Elwood was he was doing sound, and John Stanley was our production designer, and that's the team. Like, all of
That's-
us were doing 10
yeah.
jobs.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly. And I love Ryan too. He's also giving me pointers too about doing features, and definitely surround yourself with people. Don't feel like I have to do everything.
Yeah.
You can allocate jobs. Like for me, I want to get somebody to do audio for my next project.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to really be involved in the audio portion of it. I'd rather like
Believe
take
me.
that, because I was doing the last short movie. We had somebody do an audio, but then I needed to step in for the second half of the movie and do the audio myself, and it didn't sound the greatest.
No.
It's not the way I would have wanted it to sound, but luckily we did, pick up shots, and we did voiceovers, just to, because you'll hear a siren or a chopper, and but I love the scene, so then I have to like take that whole audio out now. It's just worthless now. So it's like that's what I was finding out, a lot of ambient noise from everywhere else that you could hear it. You can totally hear it, and that's something I don't really want to be involved in. Like, I don't want to be the audio guy. I'd rather just do the cinematography and then the filming, and that's it. You know what I mean?
The audio is
So-
just, it's a whole other skill. You can do it
Yeah.
up to a certain point, but it takes a true master, a true mixer to really.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the budget for the next one. I want to budget it for somebody to help with the gripping and lighting, and also an audio person.
Yeah.
And those are the 2 main things that I feel like I don't want to be like in charge of all the lighting. I do like to light things. I don't know how you feel about it, but I do love coming up with a good concept of how it should look.
Yeah.
And Ryan is really good at that, I feel like.
Yeah, I'd say working with him was probably the least involved I was with, like, in my my film career, with the camera and lighting. Usually when I don't love working with DPs in general, but when I do, I prefer to work with, like, I really like working with people who are very collaborative.
Yeah.
I work with Sophia Cacciola a lot, and her and I, like, when she's shooting, we're like both kind of like, oh, well, what if we put like, another light, like, we were shooting in this warehouse. I'm like, what if we put lights in the tires? Like, cause there's stacks of tires, and like use a hazer and make it foggy here. And, what if we, instead of using like a Steadicam, what if we make it as rough as possible? And,
Yeah.
I definitely really appreciate being super hands-on, and I don't know if I'll ever not want to be like that, because it kind of makes me feel like a poser when there's someone else there, because I'm like, is it really me doing it, or is it just them?
Yeah, no, I've been on some film sets where everyone's got their jobs, obviously.
Yes.
And the director is just kind of like, he's definitely in charge of things, but he's not moving lights. He's not.
Yeah.
He's monitoring things, but he's not moving lights. He's not.
It feels
concerned with
weird to
sound.
me.
Yeah. So.
But that's a photographer background for both of us, I think.
Yeah.
We're so
I feel like I need to be in control of certain situations.
And it's hard to let that go.
Even like, I think I saw a post. This photographer named Vanessa Joy. She said, you can allocate your editing jobs to other places and other like companies. but I feel very uncomfortable doing that because I feel like people like to hire me because not just because of the way I shoot, but also because of the way I edit as well. So you're kind of getting two. If I allocate that to somebody else, it might not look the way I was envisioning it. So I don't really know if I trust anybody with editing my photography.
It depends on the project. Like if it's something, when I work with actors of a certain caliber, it's always going to go to another editor. Like it's going to go to someone who's not a photographer. They're just an editor. Yeah. Because skin has to be very it's on the level you and I normally shoot, we're always going to edit. But when you go to something that's bigger and there's 10 people giving notes, there's a manager, there's a publicist, there's the magazine editors, it definitely it changes the game a little bit. And that's when I'm really happy to have that retoucher in my back pocket, Yeah. Because the way that they work is a whole different skill set than the way that we do.
Yeah, I definitely need to reach out to more people in more of the video side because I don't really know too many people, and I still don't know if I want to give control over anybody editing even the video stuff because I'm not a colorist, and I don't think you are either. You didn't. No. Okay, and Ryan, I think did he do the coloring on Slashercise?
He did, yeah.
Because it looks really vibrant. It looks very 80s. Yes. It's got that soft look. Yeah. And it's you guys totally captured that whole 80s vibe.
We had a lot of conversations about it. Because, Ryan's style generally is very moody and gothy. Yeah. And, my style is very vibrant and colorful. And we were kind of I think that was something he was a little nervous taking on because he's maybe he thinks I'm a little tacky, and that's fine. He's allowed to. But he was just I'm just trying to capture, your bright, colorful, and I think he did a really good job.
No, totally.
But it was definitely stepping out of his comfort zone and mine as well, to do something like that.
Yeah, so at the premiere, I just wanted to say congratulations on the premiere, first of all.
Thank you.
The premiere was so amazing. The theater was great. I did want to ask you because I've gone through this just recently. Watching your own movie with a group of people was so odd to me. When I did it for Poe, it was just weird. I don't know how you felt. Is this the first time you've sat in a theater with a lot of people with work that you've done?
No. Especially I don't know. Did you go to photography school at all? Or?
No.
So I went to school for a long time in photography, and every several times a week, whatever you shoot goes up in front of a room full of people to critique, and you kind of get used to that feeling of everyone looking, of the vulnerability of that. So I have that background, and then I've done a lot of short films. I've done a lot of anthology movies, so I've seen my work a lot of times, but it was really exciting for me. After the first, the main, Drew Barrymore kill with Spencer Charnas, and everyone applauding and cheering, I started crying. I was just oh my god, this is the coolest day ever.
That was really a great reaction because you kind of know it was coming, but I didn't know you guys were really going to show anything. And then when
that was so
I don't want to blow it if anybody wants to see it, but the first kill scene is oh, this is okay. I already, and then the credits roll, and I loved that. I wouldn't have thought of doing that. And what you did with the credit rolling, with everybody's, you have everybody that's starring in it.
Yeah.
And it was just so creative that the way the titles came up, and then you at the end, it was oh, that's awesome.
That was Vanessa.
That was my favorite.
I was like when we watched the rough cut, I was cut me out. This is so dumb. And Vanessa's no, you're
so good.
It was great. It was great seeing her on set too with that outfit because I've worked with her for a long time and I've never seen her get all dolled up and be in front of the camera, and I was yes, this is awesome. So it was really cool seeing that on screen as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was cut it out. I don't want it.
No, it was great.
That was Vanessa. That was all. She's no, it's so great.
Glad, isn't it?
And then also at the movie screening, all the exercise stuff that's in there. I didn't learn this till afterwards that Vanessa told me that you guys cut out a lot of it. You guys shortened it for the theater version for the screening because she said it was going to be way too long. I go, oh, I didn't think it was too long at all. She's like, no, you don't understand. We cut out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like an hour's worth of stuff.
I go, really? So I just recently watched the DVD at home afterwards. I showed it to April, and we were actually doing some little exercises with it along with it. Yeah, we were exercising with it, and I was like, this is kind of hard, actually. We were doing the I forgot what the kill was. This one with the knife.
Yeah.
We were doing that one.
Yes.
That one was good, and I love I just love all the little graphics and the way it's just edited down with the timing. So I'm looking at all these things because I know how much time consuming that can be with the in between and then putting the film on top of that. So it's basically a film with exercise.
Yeah.
And it's a real exercise video. So
Yes.
you can actually do these workouts at home.
And Elissa actually choreographed all the workout stuff.
Oh, nice.
Aside from the arm stuff, the arm portion, I did the aerobics and the peep show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And is that your background in choreographing?
No.
Oh, okay.
I
How'd you get involved in that then?
this gal right
That was her
here.
idea.
She's being slightly modest. Like she has a degree from UCLA in theater and dance. So she has a background in dance and choreography. So
okay.
it's not out of nowhere.
I come from the musical theater, so I have training,
Yeah.
but I never ever consider myself at a level where I could choreograph.
Right.
But that she tested me to that. She trusted me with choreographing one of the fashion shows at Midsummer.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, you know what? Let's just make it fun. It doesn't have to be some crazy, expert dance routine. Let's just have it tell a story. So that's my thing. I choreograph with a story.
Now, who choreographed the fight scene at the end of that movie?
Yeah, that was the guy who plays our villain Meathead.
Mm-hmm.
He did that. He's like a wrestler.
Oh, okay.
And so him and Vanessa went to the gym every day and practiced.
Oh, wow.
They'd send me little videos, and they did a good job. Like she's like showing me videos of her just like jumping like off like things onto him,
wow.
and it was really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is done really well. Like, I wonder how they did this choreograph. And it looks just like a totally real fight. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
they
It's like,
practice
They did
a lot.
Great job with that.
that was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
And what else at the screening? And then also the reaction for like I was reacting as everybody else was reacting to some of the scenes and some of the laughs, because this one right here, when she was in her scene, I was cracking up so hard. Like the acting that you did, like it was just so well done. And then Vanessa turns around and she's just like crying.
It was so good that day on set too. Like, because like we didn't go into that whole scene. Like we knew we wanted to kill everybody off, but we didn't go into it with a plan or a budget. And I
Right.
was like, I wanted it to feel like it was all like happening, like one by one, like simultaneously. Like this guy really went in, like, and I was like, Ryan, I really want it to feel like one shot. And he's like looking at me like, this bitch. And
oh, because it is all one shot. Yeah.
it's hidden. It's not. It's several
okay.
shots.
Did that really well then?
Yeah,
I couldn't tell.
yeah. I mean, she
I
was
couldn't
there.
tell.
We came up with it on the fly.
Yeah, I wasn't there that day.
And then like that one shot, like where he kills Colton, and then he like the camera kind of racks to her, and she just has this like this surprise expression. Like all of us like started cheering behind the camera because she just killed it. Like it was perfect.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, so shooting that part, it's like we just knew that it worked, like as it was in the camera.
Yeah.
And it's helpful that Meathead, like on set, that mask and him, Lee was so good from the get. He put that mask on and he was unsettling because you think it's just gonna be like all this funny killer, and then all of a sudden some dude in a steak mask is behind you breathing heavily, and you're just
Lady
like,
Gaga.
but he was in it from like the first things that we were filming, and he really devoted to this character.
That's awesome.
You would never think that's what he looks like too in real life.
Yeah, he's like a rocker
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I saw him at Creep by Econ, and I was sitting in my booth, and he had a leather jacket, long hair, glasses, looked like a rocker.
Yeah.
He walked by, hey, what's up, Rawl? I go, oh, do I know you? He goes, yeah, we met at the Slashercise on Meathead. I go, oh, you're Meathead. Because when I saw him without the mask, he had it in a bun or whatever. And so, I only saw him for a few seconds without the mask. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Like the first day we met him, like Vanessa knew him and was like, because we were just, Slashercise came together so fast that we were just like calling friends, be like, can you come do this? Can you do that? And she's like, my friend said he'll just dress up as Meathead. And I don't know anything about him. I'm like, okay. And, he shows up and we're all like, oh, he's kind of cute.
Yeah. You got to root for the murderer a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's such a sweetheart, and he's like, so I love what he brings to the character, and I love that he's not just like relying on the mask, and he
totally.
really like performs.
And that's one of Vanessa's friends.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys have plans to do another Slashercise? Because I know it's volume 1. So that just tells me there's going to be a volume 2.
Smart.
3, 4,
Smart marketing.
5.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a lot of different things right now, and it's like our next thing, we're doing Midsummer Scream, and we're doing some live demonstrations and things like that on the stage.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we have a booth, and we're gonna do big photo ops and stuff.
You're gonna have a Slashercise booth?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, I didn't know that.
And Vanessa and Meathead are gonna be doing photo stuff all weekend.
That's awesome. It's gonna be a good weekend.
Yeah.
I hope I get to see you guys. I'm gonna be at my own photo booth. Usually when you're at your booth, you don't get to
see anything.
I learned that now
Right.
that I've been doing this for 3 years vending. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't get to see anybody anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was just a guest, it was kind of cool because I just roam around for the next 3 days anywhere I wanted and see everybody.
Yeah, like for me, like I do the fashion show and I have a booth, and that always kept me busy. But then now we have a second booth with Slashercise, and we're doing more shows with that.
Goodness.
So you're gonna do Poltergeist Paramour still your show as well?
Yes.
Oh wow! So you're gonna be busy.
Yeah, Alyssa's choreographing that.
There
Kay
you
is
go.
in it. And
We're pretty exhausted.
We're just
Everybody looks surprised. You're like, oh, I am.
That's happening
and
soon.
I have a feeling that Vanessa is going to rope them both into some Slashercise situations.
yeah.
So
Get your spandex ready.
yeah.
Scheduling conflicts.
And Elissa also does burlesque, and she's going to be performing burlesque there as well.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's going to be a very busy
I gotta
weekend
split
for the three of
myself
us.
in 3.
Quick question: how did you guys get Spencer from Ice Nine Kills to be in the show or in the movie?
So Vanessa had been in his music video, the Welcome to Horrorland thing that he did. I think that's what it was called.
Okay.
The one with the judge, the
seen
court case thing. It's pretty cool. It's a very, very ambitious video. And she plays like his trophy girlfriend in it.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, do you think your friend Spencer would be in Slashercise? She's like, well, I mean, I was in his, so hopefully he'll be in mine.
Yeah.
At first he was like having scheduling issues. I was like, Vanessa, I can't think. We need this role. Like, I'm like, we need the himbo.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like, it's
yeah.
very important to me to like have this like, female gaze of like, instead of like showing like boobs and butts, we're gonna be like focusing on guys.
Yeah.
And it was really important to me. I was like, I don't know, a lot of other guys in horror look like that. And she's like, let me work on him a little. And finally she's like, he can do this day after like midnight. So
After midnight.
yeah, he was only
Whoa.
on set for like an hour. Like he was
Really?
in the studio recording an album. He left that, came and shot with us. I think he went back to the studio. So
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys had to book a studio. Was that at a gym?
yeah, we shot at a gym.
Okay.
And that was just part of our schedule. Like it was during our normal shooting time. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's dedication. I didn't realize he just did it in an hour. That's
it was
great.
very, very fast.
Oh.
That's quick. Very quick.
It was very quick. It was very quick.
So Poltergeist and Paramours, how did that start for you? Going back to your history of Poltergeist and Paramours, you started doing your clothing brand. Uh-huh. And how did that start?
That started, oh my gosh, I think 2017.
Oh, it's not that long. Not that
Not
long.
terribly long, no. I really liked like lingerie, and I couldn't find any horror stuff that existed, so I just started making my own. And you know, I would rope my friends into stuff that I pretty much like taught myself how to sew, and just started making stuff and got better. And you know, it's evolved a lot since, and you know, it's something I love. I don't know how much longer I want to do that, though. I really want to focus more on directing at this point.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that too. Like, what's your main focus? Because I feel like definitely doing the Slashercise and doing the directing I could see you totally doing that because you killed it with this.
Oh,
one.
thank you.
But I also know Poltergeist and Paranormal was something that you're also known for, and have been doing it for a long time as well.
Yeah, you know, it's something that I got good at, and I love making clothes for people. I love making them feel good. I love when people show me photos of them like in cosplays with like, you know, at conventions with like, you know, the guys from Scream and they're wearing something I made, and
that's awesome.
I love that. I really do. But I also, you know, I've wanted to be a director my whole life, and if that opportunity comes and more opportunities come from this, then that's obviously where I want to go. And you know, like, these girls will attest, like, I love movies. I am a giant, like, cinema nerd. Like, I go to the movies, like, every week. Like, you know.
Oh, wow.
I am, like, an encyclopedia of, like, random knowledge of film, so.
There's so many, like, horror movies, I feel like, coming out lately.
Car?
No, a lot of horror movies.
Yeah, I love it. I mean.
It's just great. Almost every weekend, somebody's at another opening. I'm like, I can't even keep up with them. Like, the Omen, I didn't even get to see that one. But it just seemed like every month there's like something new coming out. And it's like,
it's great, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And it's not even like leading into Halloween yet. It's like wait till we get into Halloween when Beetlejuice comes out.
There's so much good stuff.
Well, I mean, July is a great month for horror.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're getting Maxine, we're getting Longlegs. There's a few other ones that are all July, and they're all like the biggest movies of the year. So I'm like excited for the summer.
That's the summer. Like that's when they want to push all the movies.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the podcast a little bit more then. So, where do you guys see the podcast going forward? Do you guys see it going like to a studio, or do you guys want to keep it a video and an audio still? How do you guys see the podcast doing? Living on YouTube? Is that where you guys have it?
We have some stuff on YouTube. I think we talked a little bit about, you know, everyone having unique skills, and unfortunately none of those skills is editing.
Yeah.
It's true.
We're trying our best.
So like we put up like some short form, and like I did some very, very like, I don't want to swear, basic B editing on one of the episodes, but it is really time consuming, and we're cranking out episodes like faster than one can edit them.
So many hours.
We have a really great editor right now that's working with us.
Jared Skolnick.
Yeah, he's a gem. He's an absolute doll.
He is a savior to
Nice.
the podcast.
And he's also an amazing horror
great.
director.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
You know,
I've worked with him in the past, and he's really, you know, he loves the genre as well.
Yeah.
Like, he's a big cinephile, and it's helpful to have someone who you know likes the genre that you're going to force them to watch countless hours of.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's working, and the thing is editing, especially the way that we shoot the episodes, where it hasn't been released yet, but we do have, you know, nice little table episodes, but we also have episodes that have a bigger production, and those are what's taking a while, because so much care has gone into them for not just the filming, but also the editing is, you have to edit it more like you're editing a movie than you're editing a podcast.
Yeah.
So, yes, those are coming to YouTube. We're very excited. I mean, they're fun. They're fun because it's all about, for us, like, slumber parties is how, like, that's the only way I was allowed to watch horror movies as a kid, was getting
really?
Yeah, at someone else's house, because horror was not allowed at mine.
We're her bad influence.
Yeah. So that's what it feels like.
I love
for
that
me.
dynamic. I love it so much.
I love showing you movies.
Me too. I genuinely love it. Yeah, and there's
I mostly
nothing.
love it.
And
Except for today.
except for today's episode. But my favorite thing is, and we mentioned it before, we each bring something different to it in our different experience with the genre. And I just like Ama, I genuinely love if we've seen something and you haven't, or you've seen something and we haven't, and the excitement from all of us just from different angles of, you know, this is my favorite movie, or I haven't seen this before, I've never even knew this existed, and I love that we each bring a different level of love and appreciation to
No,
that.
definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of movies I haven't seen, so I always like learning about it, so I definitely want to tune in
And that's the thing.
you guys could recommend some movies to me as
We
well.
want to be accessible too, because it can be very judgmental. People can be very, oh, you haven't seen this, you must not really be a fan.
I get that all the time.
But for us, like, I think our big thing is, you know, we just have a love for the genre, and we've always had a love. It's just been in us, and we want to show other people, whether you just saw your first horror movie yesterday or your first horror movie when you're 4, you know, we all love it. We all love what we love, and it's all just, the genre is great, you know?
You know what I just watched 2 days ago, and I've never seen it? It's called Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead.
It's on
Yeah.
Netflix. It's
The
really
Zack
good.
Snyder
It's the
one?
Zack- I think,
Yeah.
yeah. The Vegas one? Is that
Yeah,
Vegas?
Vegas.
Yeah.
One, yes.
The
I
zombie
didn't even
That
know
one
that
I
one
have not seen
existed.
yet.
Okay, it was really good. I was like, I had to watch it a second
Yeah.
time just because I missed sort of like the beginning of it.
The beginning, as a photographer, I bet you're like, this looks sick.
Yeah, that's,
it's-
I kind of look for it for cinema purposes as well, to see like how they're doing their lighting. So, but then afterwards I get distracted with like editing. I'm like, okay, I got to edit this photo, and then I come back and I'm listening. I go, wait, what just happened? And then I rewind. Then I go, I should just rewind the whole thing again.
Yeah.
Because towards the last half, I actually sat on the couch and watched all of it because it was just really so good.
Yeah.
So that's one that I've seen recently. But yeah, I'm always trying to look for a nice. Because sometimes I'll throw in a horror movie and I just get really bored like really quickly. And then I just lose interest. So I'm like, well, I'm just not going to watch it.
We're interested to hear what you have to say about today's episode.
Yes, watch The First Power
The
and
First
tell us what
Power.
you
The
think.
First Power, is that the movie? you guys
Yeah,
reviewed?
that was
Okay.
we do our schedule for the month with like a theme, and the theme is always based off whatever the new big horror movie in theaters is, or streaming, or whatever's coming out.
Right.
And so like our first month, Late Night with the Devil came out, so we did all like broadcast horror movies, like movies that take place like not quite found footage, like
But a subgenre
yeah.
of found footage.
Subgenre.
A very
Yeah, yeah.
specific subgenre of found
that we
footage.
made up.
Yes.
And then like this month, Tarot was the first thing that came out, so we've done like kind of like mystic occult horror movies. And yeah, my choice for it, and I pushed for this movie, was called The First Power. It came out in 1990 with Lou Diamond Phillips, and it's very, very silly.
It is
Like
You were telling me about that, the first part. I
It's-
never even heard of it.
well, it's on Tubi. Go check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good old Tubi.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can watch a lot of good stuff on there, actually.
We were just talking
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
I was saying earlier to them that I feel like Tubi is the closest thing we have now to like going to like, you know, a mom and pop video store and like
Yeah.
choosing a VHS from the silly cover, you know?
Tubi is great.
Exactly. That's what I used to miss about going to just like stores to go rent movies. It's just looking at the cover, you know, what
Yeah.
I mean, and just renting it based on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all we had. Back,
Do they even
back
have?
then.
Yeah, I haven't even seen new covers that I don't buy. I mean, I'm not a media collector, so I don't get new stuff. But do they make exciting covers anymore?
For the fancy releases at
Yeah.
like Vinegar Syndrome or what's some of the other ones called, like Shout Factory and Terror Vision, like they will rehire a new artist to do a fancy new
Okay.
cover, and a lot of care goes into those. But I don't know what I was
But
talking
it's
about.
also
I know,
changed.
so-
Covers have changed a lot, and I know that like other documentaries have touched on this. But you know, when covers, you think of Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, and they were like painted covers.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
art.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there was like, I think they said it. You know, it's if you think about it, it's like the 90s when it went from being like art that the movie was about to being.
Like
Yup,
this.
to being
Exactly.
here are the celebrities in
That
a
was
row
the late
Yeah.
90s.
with the
Yep.
title.
Yep.
And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but like,
Yeah,
there's a
have
reason
that.
that like the Friday the 13th poster is on so many people's wall, or sorry,
Yeah.
the Nightmare on Elm Street poster, where and I do miss that because there's something about, especially if you are an artist, that you're like, I miss when they gave all these artists the job and the care, and that someone is like, hi, we need a poster for this movie. and they see it and they create something like absolutely amazing. And now it's, you know, obviously I'm not saying anything bad about photography. Photography is amazing and horror photography is amazing. But it's still like, you know, when it was specifically an art form. And I really do love, like, we watched 13 Ghosts, which is one of my, like, that's my sick movie. That's my homesick from, you know, work movie. And I had the original DVD, and then I bought the 4K version because now you gotta buy your favorite movies, or you won't own them anymore.
True.
And so I bought a remastered by
Shout Factory.
By Scream Factory, Shout Factory, and it was a different cover, but it was still really cool. Like the original cover is like the pixelated person screaming, and then this new cover was like the ghosts coming at you from what felt like the hallway, and it was like a compilation that was very homage to the original movie. So that's really cool to see when they're redoing these covers, that it's still like, oh, that's a new way of seeing it. It seems like this feels like a poster that I would find.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually going to say, I feel like the new VHS cover is like the limited edition posters, like from like Mondo or whatever companies are around now, you know, like the screen printed posters, like, you know, the new cover.
Yeah. No, you definitely, like even like this cover. Who did your cover for Slashercise?
I believe his name is Alex Vincent. And yeah, he's lovely.
Yeah, this came out great.
Yeah.
Now, whose concept was it to do it like this? Because I like that you have your like your villain and then your main stars on the cover.
Yeah, I know Vanessa was like, I want heads. I was like, you want Drew Struzan? And she's like, I don't know who that is, but yes. And so I sent her like an Indiana Jones poster, and she's like, yes. And
oh, that's kind of you know, it kind of reminds me of that
it's
a little bit. Yeah,
I'm gonna be real with you. It's totally ripped off from an Indiana Jones poster.
That's good though. I like that. And then I like that you incorporated. I don't know if you care if I'm blowing it, but I like that you incorporated the car from Back to the Future.
Well, I really, I'm a big car geek, and I really wanted like an 80s, like, you know, Countach, because that to me feels like the most like synth wavy car. Anyway, there's like 2 in LA, and neither one we could afford. And so my friend Sean Decker, I don't know if you know him or not.
That sounds familiar.
He's a writer and producer in the genre, and he knew that I was like obsessed with getting this car, and he knew I was driving Vanessa crazy with it. So he's like, you know, dude, what about a DeLorean instead? I'm like, I could do a DeLorean as long as it's not like totally Back to the Futured out with like, you know, the flux capacitor and stuff. So,
yeah.
So yeah, that was how that came about, and we found you know, those were much more affordable in LA.
So just to rent it for the day? Do they rent them for the day or the hours?
For the hours. I think we rented it for like 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, okay.
And like we like went to the guy and we shot in a parking lot and got kicked out.
It looked great. That scene when she pulls up, when she gets out, it's just shot really well. Yeah,
I mean, we actually referenced David Hasselhoff did a music video for the song True Survivor, which was also for an 80s-ish movie. What was that called? The Kung Fury.
Oh, yeah.
And I sent them the shots that he did for that. And like, so we definitely referenced a lot of that. And then like all the ones that are like small pieces of the car, Vanessa and I are holding like the purple and blue lights off to the side as Ryan's shooting.
That's awesome.
And, yeah.
It came out really good.
Oh, thank you. We really guerrilled that. So like we
awesome.
literally got kicked out.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
They came out? And
they're like, you can't shoot here.
I mean, it's not an Ama Lea shoot unless you get kicked out once.
Yes.
Well, I get kicked out all the time, so I can...
Yeah.
I've been arrested once. It's true.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is it a photo shoot or is it a filmmaker?
No, it was a photo shoot. It was I thought there's a castle out in like Lancaster, and I thought it was abandoned because it looks abandoned. And I was like, oh, I want to do an Army of Darkness photo shoot in front of it. Yeah. Well, they had cameras, and they're like, so yeah, me and the model, him and I got in some trouble.
And they arrested you?
Yes.
Did you fight back?
How long was
you
this?
got arrested?
Because I feel like it's not really, like if they could just ask you to leave, Can't you just leave? Like,
Well, we did. We had shot. We had left, and then they had cameras, and they found us, and they. It was like 3 months later.
Oh, so they
And-
didn't arrest you then?
That's
No.
so scary.
But yeah, it was. I had to do like 80 hours of community service.
Damn, that sucks.
That's so scary.
Yeah. So don't
See-
love doing the guerrilla shoots anymore.
No, yeah, I try to be careful, and I'm always respectful to people if they don't want me to shoot there.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I usually do try to ask if it's okay to do a couple of shoots. And sometimes they're okay with it, sometimes they're not. But as long as you ask, I think they're. But cemeteries, I think I've been kicked out of every single cemetery in LA.
Oh, same. I shot Sarah Nicklin for an issue of Fangoria back in the day as like a slutty nun in a cemetery. In the Rosdale Angeles one that they shot Buffy at. And
Okay.
I knew, like, you can tell when they get the golf cart out, they're coming for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's go over here. So like, we just like kind of like ran from them for like half an hour because it's a big place.
Hijacking a golf cart, be like, go, go.
Did you bring any lights and stuff with you?
I had like one strobe on a
One
stand.
strobe? Okay.
But we got our shots and we left. And I mean, back in the day, I did a short film called M is for Mermaid for ABC's of Death. And, we had no money for that. So I went and it was like, I knew we wanted a lake with a dock. And I was like, I looked on like, Airbnb. Well, I think it was like another website like Airbnb for cabins in Big Bear that were on lakes with docks that weren't rented for the day that I wanted to shoot. And so we went to a cabin that wasn't rented and just shot on their dock for the day. And
Okay.
at the end of the day, the boat police come up and they're like, you can't shoot here. I was like, oh, sorry, we're leaving. As like, people who'd rented the cabin for that night were like showing up as like a film crew's leaving. Like,
Have you ever been kicked out of Hollywood Forever?
yes, usually within 2 seconds.
Yeah, you got to be really careful there.
Yeah,
You can't bring in a lot of gear.
I didn't
maybe
bring
just-
any. I had just my camera and
Yeah.
the girl I was shooting wasn't even like in anything that you'd recognize. Like, and it was. I think I got 3 shots and then they kicked us out.
I've been fortunate, if anybody's listening, but I've been fortunate to get away with it so far. Like the last 2-3 times I've been there, pretty simple.
I think there's a cemetery in Pasadena that you're allowed to shoot in.
3 months later, the police go.
Yeah.
I know, right? Because I think one time
Like
we were
we heard
shooting, we were shooting video. And this is the one time that we already got our shots. This never came out. We were doing we were going to do a show, and we were shooting like a scene at the Hollywood Forever, and we were done with our shoot, and the guy came up with a golf cart and said, "You guys can't shoot." And obviously, I had like camera on a gimbal and everything. I go, "Okay, well, we're not shooting anymore. We're gonna leave," and he said that they got us on camera filming, so that they have us that I was filming. I was like, oh, okay, because I was trying to lie, say we're not filming anything. So that one you got to be careful. I think I was also told by a security guard not to shoot. This is just when I was just at an event. I think it was a Johnny Ramone thing, and I was just shooting the Johnny Ramone statue, and the guy yelled at me for shooting that as well.
Yeah, I've heard of photographers. They've like asked for their memory cards. Like
Oh my gosh.
they're intense there.
Damn.
Because the permits there are very expensive. I know there's certain days of the year you are allowed to shoot there, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I want to say it's like when they do their Day of the Dead stuff, you're allowed to
Yeah,
shoot, and like when it's
there's
busy.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I wish it was easier to shoot in cemeteries. And
That's why I want to build a set that just already has a cemetery.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing at Midsummer Scream. I'm going to have a cemetery set.
Oh, sick.
To pay homage to all the cemeteries that I've been kicked out of.
That's so
And
cool.
like you can actually have one where you're not getting kicked out. You can
Yeah.
come get a photo done there.
Director Tom McLaughlin has a gravestone.
He has a what?
He kept the Jason
Jason
headstone.
lives.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're gonna take a prop.
Yeah.
That's a good
Seriously.
prop.
That's
That's
a
a
good
good prop
prop.
I'm
to
just
have.
waiting. I'm waiting to go to
Yeah.
Now, Emma, your husband, does he do filmmaking as well?
Yeah, he's made a few feature films. One's called The New Hands, his newest movie. He works in the industry as his day job as well. He's an editor.
Oh, okay.
And he edits and produces videos for a company called Studio Binder on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that one.
Yeah, they're a bigger company for filmmakers.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he just did a video about CGI that got over, I think right now is sitting over like 400,000 views in a week. So
wow.
he's pretty stoked on that, yeah.
That's awesome. And you you make a living doing what you're doing with Poltergeist and Paramours and
Yeah.
And your filmmaking?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
and photography as well. Like
And
I do a little
photography.
bit of everything, depends on what day it is,
Yeah, no. I definitely I think the end of the year and then the beginning of the year is always slow for me as well.
Yeah,
So
it's rough.
it's always a little bit slow and yeah. And what do you guys do outside of the Slashercise world?
Typical, day job, and nighttime actor and stuff. I do pet sitting. I do a lot of
nice.
pet sitting. That's my very normal day job.
That's actually gotten a lot bigger. And now
It has to a
I use the Rover
difficulty.
app.
Yeah. I was on there for a while when I started out, but
Okay.
now it's getting very oversaturated, just like a lot of these side hustles are these days. So
Yeah.
it's been a little difficult, but yeah, I've done that for over 10 years. So it's just, I like a lot of animals more than I like some people. So
No.
I don't mind it as a job.
You audition a lot, and she was in the Evil Dead musical.
Oh, okay.
I haven't in a while since the pandemic, but I do a lot of professional stage work too.
Oh, nice.
And what do I do?
What do I do?
I mean, I'm not just saying this. I put all of my focus and hours have been just trying to, get the podcast off the ground. I'm like, what do I do? Maybe I should work. Maybe I should get some money. But yeah, that's
awesome.
So acting is the primary focus.
And you act as well on the side?
Yep. Yeah. So acting and I don't know. It's hard to. I guess I've been like a little bit of that whole like jack of all trades, master of none, and finding that new hyperfixation thing to be doing every once in a while.
ADHD life.
Yeah, because when I first met you was when I was still doing pinup, and
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Don't-
We've known each other for a while.
yeah, we have. And then I during the pandemic, it kind of made you rethink things and like where you want to go in the future. You're like, what do I want to do when I can go back outside? And then I worked on a short. I've also done effects makeup for a while. But never anything serious, mostly just like, when my friend needs something and I'm like, that sounds fun, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And then Ama had me in one of her shorts, All Them Witches, playing one of the witches.
One of them witches.
One of them witches. And for a group called, like a horror accountability group that started up during the pandemic called Just Scare Me, which was basically like, filmmakers make shorts that are under 5, under 6 I think is actually the max, and then you screen them in front of the group and you can like talk about the production, and it's really just to like get creative people creating when there was a vacuum. And when I got there and saw this film and I was like, oh, okay, that was fun. And then she's like, okay, so now you make one. And I was like, wait, what? No, wait, this was a trap. It's a trap. And so but I was like, okay. And I started making shorts as well, and I was like, oh wait, this is great, because there's so many times where I've been in front of the camera and then behind the camera was only for effects, and always just thought of like, oh, this would be cool if this existed. And I was like, oh, I guess I can make it exist. And I've just started doing that, and it's, I'm nowhere near at the level, but it's a learning curve, and it's a lot of fun, and just getting to create with people who like horror as well. And I think the past couple years, and specifically I would say like credit Ama with this, is getting finding a new community, because I was so in that pinup community for so long, but horror has been like my love forever. And there's also scary vintage, so it works. I can credit like finding this new home of people that I absolutely love and adore, and can't imagine not being involved with this group. And so It's all because of her.
A lot of things are because of Ama. Not blowing smoke up your butt, but it's true.
I feel like I'm like Tina Fey in Mean Girls, where she's like, I'm a pusher. I push people to.
And there's a burn book that,
Yeah.
she was really mean to us today.
No, but like,
No, that's not true.
I feel like I'm the type of person who's just like ridiculously ambitious and focused, and like I push my friends that they're like, I think I want to do this. I'm like, do it now.
Yeah, no,
You know?
definitely. Yeah. I feel the same way. Like I try to push people as well, but only if they really serious about it. I don't, because I don't have the energy sometimes to push everybody.
Right.
But I just try to give them advice, just like don't give up, and just if you really want to do this, just continue doing it. You know,
Yeah.
don't get down on people's negativity, because that's how you learn. You learn by mistakes. You learn how to, just like what we were talking about earlier, just audio stuff. I learned.
Right.
I need to have backup of that. Why is it doing this? Let me research it, and just it's all these little things that you just people I think use an excuse like, oh, I can't do it, so I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
Everyone
you
starts
just
at one.
Yeah.
You never have like
Exactly.
100. You're not
Exactly.
there, you know.
So cool. Well, I'm gonna end the podcast here, but I thank you guys for having me here in your space here, and this is amazing. And yeah, I can't wait to see what the next Slashercise brings and what else you guys come up with. And I'll definitely be seeing you at Midsummer Scream, and I'm gonna stop by there for sure.
And I just wanted to say thank you for being so supportive and, you know, shooting stuff for Slashercise. You shot my wedding, like.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the wedding, but
I mean, thank you so much for
Well, thanks for
supporting, you know, people doing stuff and just being part of the community and being such like a positive creative force.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
I'm
it.
here for it. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are amazing, and what you're doing is amazing. So I really support what you're doing with Slashercise, what you guys are all doing with the podcast as well, because I know how hard it can be to do all these little different jobs. So I commend you guys for doing that, and just keep going with it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna try.
Yes.
That's the goal.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later then. Thanks again for having me.
Like, bye!
Thanks.
I just think at the end is super bad. You have my information.
You got
so.
my-
I'm in the middle of a big bike race.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye.